The member from Wabasha, Representative Welti.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. First of all, I just want to thank all of you for taking time away from your jobs, away from the other commitments that you may have had today. For some of you, you may have to take that time away also tomorrow. But I can tell you that the residents of southeastern Minnesota would say thank you. Every single community that I've been in, almost every single individual that I've had the opportunity to speak with over the last 3 weeks, the number one question, the first question they asked is, Andy, when are we going to go into a special session? They thought we were going to go into a special session right away after the bridge collapse, but they expected a special session after the flood. And I just want to thank all of you for being here and showing how important it was to respond. Shortly after the rains came, I drove through one of my communities where I saw garage door after garage door raised. And when I looked into the garages as I drove by, I saw people moving their furniture out of their basements. I saw either a pickup truck or a roll-off dumpster sitting in the driveway. People were hauling drywall. People were hauling wet furniture out and dumping it. The city of Eyota established a central location for all the residents to come distribute or get rid of their debris. They couldn't even keep up with the roll-off dumpsters that were at that location. They ended up making mounds of debris, and they had to get rid of it. They've incurred over $90,000 in costs just to get rid of demolition debris. 80% of the homes in Eyota, the basements were flooded. Either surface water, sewage, you name it. 80% of the homes, almost 80% of the businesses were affected in Eyota. I also represent the community of Elgin, which was heavily impacted. Community of Plainview, Rochester, a number of residents in Rochester were also affected where their basements were flooded. There was one individual who called me up and he was very emotional and he just said, Andy, when is the help coming? And I told him to tell me his story, and he began to tell me that he was a disabled veteran. He lived in Eyota. He lived in the lower level of his home, and his brother lived in the upper level with his family. And all of his belongings, everything that he owned, was contained in that lower level. But unfortunately, the waters came, they rose, and everything that he had owned was gone. There are a number of people in my district that have that same story. The level of devastation was not as great in my district as it was in Representative Pulowski's district or Representative Druskowski's district or Representative Shumper's district, but I can tell you that there are outlying districts that were heavily impacted as well. The estimates and the numbers that we're dealing with here, I just want to make this case clear, and that is that they're preliminary. I received calls just lately or just recently where my local units of government were saying, oh, but Andy, we found another issue. Some of the cities, they're finding soft spots in the roads, and they know that they're going to have to excavate, and underneath they're going to find that the storm water is washed out part of the piping system, and they're going to have to replace that. We have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of infrastructure damage that we're going to come across in the future, and I believe that coming into the next session starting in February, we're probably going to have to come back and ask for a little bit more assistance. And I'm hoping the state of Minnesota is going to step up and help out these communities. These communities have taken on millions of dollars of damage, and their tax base is not that large. It's a huge burden that none of these communities were expecting, and so I just want to thank the state of Minnesota for stepping up to the plate, and the legislators here and the governor for negotiating a bill. It's a good bill. Sat through all of the hearings today. It's a very flexible bill, so hopefully this disaster assistance gets out there immediately, and not only that, but it's able to cover all of the costs that maybe we haven't anticipated yet. For the homeowners, the farmers, and the business owners, and the local units of government and our state, this bill goes a long way to addressing the natural disaster in southeast Minnesota and the other disasters throughout the state that you'll see that are named in here, as well as the bridge collapse. So thank you very much for all attending. Thank you, members of the committees, for putting together a good bill, and thank you for taking into consideration all the points that we brought up today. I know a number of them were incorporated. Members, thank you for your support.